Hi, everybody. Steve Sabadowski, publisher of BayouBuzz.com. And today we have a special guest, Michael Hecht, President of GNO Inc. And Michael, you're on our Bayou Buzz Hangout again. I think this must be number 4 for you.
Yeah, I just can't quit it.
We're going to talk about the legislative session, the upcoming legislative session. But before doing that, is there any, say, business announcement that you want to discuss, or just tell us how you're doing business-wise? How is the area doing?
Well, 2014, Steve, was our best in our history here, not just in the number of announcements, but in the diversity of the announcements. There was a heavy industry and international trade with companies like Chiquita, International Shipholding coming back, Yuan Chemical, first ever mainland Chinese investment in Louisiana. But there were also software companies like High Voltage Software coming down from Chicago, and then some kind of different ones like Nest, which is an accelerator and incubator out of Finland that's opening up its second shop in the United States in New Orleans. And it's that diversity that is going to make us in the future increasingly tolerant to shocks like the oil shock that we're going through right now. So that was very good. Of course, the big recent announcement was Copa Airlines announcing that on June 24th they are going to restart direct service to Panama City, and from Panama City you get a direct connection without going through immigration to 51 destinations in Central and South America. So in a very real way, the gateway to the Americas has been reopened. And we continue on our talks to get a direct flight to London. That's actually going very well. Our numbers keep getting better and better. Our economic numbers keep improving. Our tourist numbers keep improving. And I think pretty soon we'll be able to get on a flight in the evening in New Orleans and land in Europe early in the morning the next day. And that's going to take us from being a top second-tier location to a truly global destination for the first time in, many decades.
So we really have something to look forward to. You're doing a terrific job, as I've mentioned many times before. So the legislative session, Louisiana is really in a critical time in terms of the budget. It's like two different Louisianas is the way that I think that I've explained, and I'm sure that others have done so also. The economy is doing quite well, as you've mentioned. But our government is not. We're flat broke, or actually we're roughly $1.6 billion.
We're spending more than we're taking in. We're upside down.
Yes, we are, and the number is, as I appreciate, a number that has been used in the media and in the legislature is $1.6 billion, which for a less than $25 billion budget, I mean, that's pretty substantial. So, does GNO Inc. have say, a policy position on a legislative policy position yet that you want to talk about?
Well, we definitely have a framing, I guess you would call it, on the current session, and I think that the point you made is an incredibly important one to keep talking about, is that we have to unpack the very real public sector challenge with the deficit, and we do have a structural deficit, unpack that from the very real private sector progress. And what we want to make sure is that when we're fixing the public sector deficit problem, that we're not undermining the private sector progress. You want to make sure we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And so that's what we're getting the word out about. Now, in terms of the public sector and the deficit, what's caused this, there are a number of things that have come to bear. The repeal of STELI that hit us in terms of personal income taxes, the Katrina money being over, the oil price drop, the 2008 recession. All these things have come together. What they mean is that we've lost about $5 billion of revenue from the peak in 2008. At the same time, our spending has basically been flat overall at the state level, and that's why we have the deficit. Revenue's going like that, spending like that, and you end up underwater pretty quickly. But at that same time, you got to look at the data, and you can look, Steve, at the most basic data, non-farm job growth, and you can see that for the 4 decades before Katrina, we underperformed the nation by half. And the nation grew at 80%, we grew at 40%. Places that we compete against, like Houston and Atlanta, grew 200%. If you look at the exact same data going back to just 2008, what you can see is that we actually have been performing alongside places like Houston and Atlanta. And Houston and Austin, we're up to the very best. So it really is happening, but again, it takes some time. And when the governor makes an announcement about a 1,000-person operation that's opening up, what's not said is that those 1,000 jobs are going to come online over 10 to 12 years. So there is a timing delay. So people who are demanding the results of this growth today in terms of new tax revenue actually don't understand that we're actually talking about short-term future growth, not immediate impact. And so it's important to make sure that we put that timing in perspective.